and welcome to another episode of the Friendly Fire Show. And today we have a very special episode. And it's special because I kind of want to share some insight as to what we did before we started doing all these YouTube videos as the Friendly Fire Show. Because before the Friendly Fire Show, we were known only as Rock City Multimedia, which we're still known as. That's our parent company and our DBA. But Rock City Multimedia covered a whole bunch of different teams, but we only were doing photos and articles on our website. That's how we started out. So I kind of want to go over some of those teams we already covered doing that and talk about them here a little bit or show you some pictures, so on and so forth, because I want to make sure every minor league team gets covered on the show eventually. That's our goal. And just because we covered them as Rock City doesn't mean I'm going to not go back as the Friendly Fire Show, because I might. But just in case, I wanted to cover some of them that we already went to before we did these videos, kind of in this video here. And so before the first off, if you want to hear more about Rock City Multimedia, behind the scenes of the Friendly Fire Show, and what we were before the Friendly Fire Show, check out our 4-part docu-series coming out in September. But anyway, first things first. I believe the first team that we worked with, if not the second, but I believe it was the first, was the Dayton Dragons. The Cincinnati Reds organization has been awesome to us, everyone in it, but the Dayton Dragons were one of the first teams Rock City ever covered, and we actually covered their Meet the Team lunch. I believe it was in 2019 at, I don't know if I can remember the name of the restaurant, like Big Boy something. But the Dayton Dragons hosted a Meet the Team night, and you didn't even have to be a season ticket holder. Anyone could go. And it was awesome. The players were there, the mascots, so on and so forth. Super cool of them, and that was one of the first things we covered. And then after that, again in 2019, we had a giant 2019 road trip where we saw a bunch of different teams. And some of the teams we've since gone back and covered in videos, like the Akron River Ducks or the Erie Seawolves, so I'm not really going to mention them here or necessarily put any of the pictures because we've already gone back and covered them. But some of the teams we didn't cover were the Reading Fightin' Phils. Amazing stadium. It was like being at an amusement park or like a fair, and they had a pool in the outfield, all the string lights hanging back and forth, open concession layout. It was awesome. Another team was the Harrisburg Senators, which a fun story. When we went to that game, somebody pulled the fire alarm in the middle of the game, or if they didn't pull it, it went off somehow, but regardless. So there was a fire drill, and they were actually issuing people out of the stadium and then back in later. You'll see that in some of these pictures here. Another team was the Fort Wayne Tin Caps, another amazing stadium. We got to park like on top of the stadium, like on top of the scoreboard, on top of the big structure in the outfield. Super cool views. And then I think the last team from that road trip that we haven't gone back and covered yet is the Columbus Clippers, another amazing stadium. Super cool views, super cool vibes, and they have a live music venue next door, so you can actually hear some of that music both during the game and if you're outside, like in the parking lot, so on and so forth. And actually, one more team that we did cover during that I wanted to save for last because I have another story with them is the Mahoning Valley Scrappers. But that's actually an interesting one because then afterwards, starting last year, I only did it for last year. I'm kind of out of it now with doing everything with the Friendly Fire Show, but I was actually one of the hot dog mascots for the sponsor Hot Dog Wally's. And so I was at every single one of their games as that hot dog mascot. So if you went to a Scrappers game last year and you saw Hot Dog Wally, it was probably me. So here's some cool pictures from that. Not going to give away any of the other mascots' identities, but they were super cool. Everyone in the organization was super cool, and thank you for that opportunity. And next up was a road trip to the Durham Bulls. Again, some pictures from that. Went in the team shop, got to see the big hit bull, win steak, hit grass, win salad thing. This right here. And I believe I actually got this when I went on that trip and went to the team store. And then on that same trip, I went and saw the Burlington Sock Puppet Stadium, and that's another story of something Rock City kind of worked on, kind of did. We actually designed and manufactured and set up the haunted house, or a haunted house, I believe it was called Dark in the Park. And with that, we got like season tickets for the season, our name on some of the seats, our company name. And so, here's some more pictures of that. Obviously, that was super cool. Got to design my first haunted house like by myself in a baseball stadium. It was super awesome. And if you're wondering where that came from, that's most likely going to be in that docu-series coming out in September. Kind of with baseball in the fall, I've worked at Cedar Point for years on years in their Hall Weekends department, so that's kind of how this came to be. The Sock Puppets GM, Anderson Rathburn, I believe it was from, if not from, then he lived in Sandusky, Ohio for a while. And so, he knew the Hall Weekends, so on and so forth, and that's kind of how that came to be. Then also, another short road trip we went on was the Indy. No, this isn't the Indy Fuel. That's ECHL. What am I thinking? The Indianapolis Indians. And that was actually with ours covering Monster Jam at the time at Lucas Oil Stadium down the road. And then, of course, I had to go take pictures at the stadium, go to the team shop, so on and so forth, because, kind of an MiLB fanatic. The next one was the Nashville Sounds. Awesome scoreboard, awesome stadium. And the reason we were in Nashville was actually because we went to the NHL Stadium Series between the Nashville Predators and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Then another winter road trip that I just kind of randomly went on was the Altoona Curve. Quite literally just drove the 4.5 hours to go to the team shop, see the stadium, take pictures, see that awesome roller coaster in the outfield there. And then on our way to a family vacation, I actually drove separately because I had work. We were going like to state park or national park or something like on the border of Nashville or on the border of Tennessee and Kentucky, not in Nashville. But so I drove separate. I left first, and on my way down there, I stopped in Florence, Kentucky, again, just to see the stadium. Kind of a baseball addict. So, some more cool pictures of that. And speaking of family vacations, we went on a Virginia Beach vacation one year, and then I had everyone stop in Norfolk. I don't even know if it was a stop. I think we actually had to drive out of our way, but you know how I am. So, Norfolk Tides, they're another one. And with Rock City, how we also cover amusement parks. If you didn't know that, watch the 4-part docu-series coming in September. We went to Kentucky Kingdom, and also then coming back from that vacation that I was talking about earlier, stopped at the Louisville Bats Stadium. And now my second minor league baseball game, I believe, but first out-of-state one that really showed me, kind of broadened my horizons with how many teams there actually were, was the Savannah Sand Gnats. Don't think I have any pictures of that, sadly. They're somewhere in my mom's, family little gray Nikon camera she has. I'll try to find them before I post this, but if not, got this cool hat. Official New Era hat there, right? Yep, they're Savannah Sand Gnats. They were playing the Lexington Legends, who actually here I have their classic cap too. I remember that game. I loved this logo. They had like a program where it had like every team's logo, and I love this Lexington one for some reason. It's like so simple, but. And then another interesting one right after COVID was, I don't know if it was the winter of 2020 or early in 2021, but regardless, they had this thing where it was like if you were working from home, they let you work out of their offices. So I went all the way down to Knoxville, Tennessee, and spent 2 days in Knoxville. I think one day working out of their office doing like Rock City stuff. So again, some sweet pictures of that. Got to work in their office for a day. That was pretty awesome. And then going way back to 2018, I was actually on a trip with my girlfriend at the time to her cabin way up north in Michigan, and then I made her go to a Traverse City Beach Bums game. Then we have, again in 2020, where there were only certain teams playing, so on and so forth, a Joliet Slammers game. Then the last thing wasn't really a team that I covered because I haven't been to their stadium yet, only driven through the city, but I did some work with Grandiose when they were like hiring like kind of independent designers kind of for like a street team or a studio team kind of thing. Early on, I was picked for one project, and it was actually the Shrimp Cup project. Here's my Shrimp Cup. And no, I didn't like design the Shrimp Cup or something, as you'll see in the pictures here, specifically this bottom row here. They sent me an like unrendered 3D model and then I had to work to render it so they can produce the real thing. Sorry if I didn't point in order, I'm not sure how I'm going to have the picture set up. And I think that is about it for the minor league teams, but there will be an MLB team video because there are a crap ton of those, or a crud ton, whichever I'm allowed to say. There's even more MLB teams that we didn't cover in these videos. And we'll get there eventually. Thank you for watching. See you soon.
Can you